episode 65 of the TFW podcast. That is Freakin Wrestling. We are here on a Wednesday. What up, folks?
Nothing. What's up with you?
Yeah, what's going
You
on?
felt that.
Why was my voice so high pitched right there?
I have no idea. That was like Mickey Mouse. That is hilarious, though. What up, man? What up, lady? What's the good word? What's good in the hood, as Vince McMahon said to John Cena backstage. I was actually at Joe Louis Arena.
He actually said something after that, too, though.
We were at that show. That was Survivor Series. That was when you dropped the N-bomb.
Yep.
Sure did. He said, what's good in the hood? And then Cena just went along with it.
Speaking of Vince McMahon, right?
They merged. It's finally here. We knew about it, of course, Mania weekend. But the merger has officially happened now with WWE and UFC. Before we get to that, you guys know the usual suspects on this podcast. I am Matt. We have Rhodesia here.
Hola.
We have Eshaun here. Thank you guys for listening. As always, we appreciate you. We love you. Let's get right into it. There's some write-ups. I mean, once again, we didn't really learn anything new today that we didn't know Mania weekend when they announced it, but it has been officially a merger now. They launched Tuesday morning on the New York Stock Exchange. It is TKO Group. Opened up with a valuation of $21.4 billion.
With the B.
Jesus Christ.
Good Lord, that's a lot of money.
Ton of money. UFC's parent company Endeavor will own 51% of TKO, and WWE shareholders will receive a 49% stake. Whatever. Vince McMahon, formerly the controlling shareholder of WWE, will serve as an executive chairman of TKO. UFC President Dana White will now operate as UFC CEO. Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel will also be the CEO of TKO, and Endeavor executive Mark Shapiro will serve as TKO's president and chief operating officer. Nick Khan will function as WWE president. Says expectations are that UFC and WWE will continue to run as separate programs. UFC senior executive president and chief operating officer Lawrence Epstein told ESPN. White will continue to run the day-by-day of UFC. Paul Levesque will head up WWE creative. UFC and WWE may begin holding major events on the same weekend in one city and leveraging their combined strength with negotiating with tourism authorities. That is going to be massive business.
Big
Holy
time.
hell. Sheesh.
And I think they even mentioned, they mentioned that they were going to try to go beyond combat sports too.
Well, here it says where we want to get to is where every UFC fan is a WWE fan and every WWE fan is a UFC fan. Merger also opens the door to future crossovers. Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey, for example, have already won world championships in both organizations. UFC fighters are going to stay focused on the UFC, and WWE superstars obviously do something different in our ring, Khan said. But you also see in the UFC people with big personalities who, once their UFC run is done, once the UFC and the fighter says, hey, maybe now's the time to call it a day, could those people have a longer life at WWE? An extended life with TKO? We think so. So it sounds like they already have some plans for some incredible crossovers and bundling weekends together. Eshaun, I know you're not a big UFC fan. Rhodesia, you are. I am, of course. News for you. Like I said, this is nothing that we didn't know already for months and months. It is now official. What are you hoping to see different, if anything, with this merger with UFC?
Was that to me or Eshaun?
To E.
I gotta be honest. Of course, business as usual for me. In the Big Daddy household, it's business as usual. Like I've always wanted for years to get into UFC. I just haven't found the right place to kind of get in where I fit in. So I've always been interested in it, and maybe this might be a great opportunity for me. But as far as WWE and how it operates and how it shows up on my TV, business as usual for me. I can't really hope for much more.
Rhodesia?
It's good to see. I don't know if it's good for the pocketbooks, but it's good to see that they are going to try to leverage having super hit weekends with both UFC and WWE because I love them both. So again, pocketbooks probably is going to be like, what in the hell? But I'm excited about it.
And WWE's going to have to switch nights because remember they do the majority of their shows now on Saturdays. Well, that's not going to fly unless they're just looking at just bundling. They don't want the fans going to both shows.
Right.
I guess that's a possibility.
And then they just have in town, get better deals in town. However this is going to look, I'm excited. Like I said, there's nothing new that we learned today that we didn't hear about before. It's always something when it's official. Of course, things can happen up until that point. I think probably one of the best things for me as a fan to see, and I know you're probably going to get there, but a lot of the pictures we saw, Montez and Bianca Belair. So how
looking
amazing
like $1 million, baby.
presentation
looking
is
like
for us.
$1 million.
Yeah. I'm super excited.
What if we get some early afternoon WWE shows? Right? Family, friendly. You start
you can say on
WWE
Saturday
show at 1 o'clock on the Saturday and it ends at whatever time, and then later on in the evening, you're still in the area, you go back down to the arena or another arena and see a UFC fight. Maybe just a day of TKO. What's that song back in the day, man? TKO.
Just another love TKO.
I was going to say, how far we going back? That's Teddy Pendergrass right there.
There you go.
Teddy P.
I think you need to let it go.
Let it go. You know what he did? You know what he did on it? I think.
But hold on, wait. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'll let you go. I'm gonna let you finish. But
thanks, Connie.
I just hope. Then, with this being said, they're gonna pay UFC fighters more money.
Oh, that's coming.
So that we need to see that.
It wasn't in that article, but there was something around them kind of knowing on the UFC side, fighter pay is going to have to switch a little bit.
You talking about $21.4 billion? These people need to make a lot more money.
Yeah, I don't even think that we can probably they may not even know like what this is going to turn out to be at the end of the day. I think we absolutely are going to see crossovers. I think we're going to end up seeing Roman Reigns in the crowd, front row at the biggest show. And then there's a, promotion 20-second piece of his next big match. We're absolutely going to see people like Conor McGregor in WWE now. I think for me, as long as Triple H stays head of creative, it's going to suck because with any merger, we know there's probably going to be a lot of people who lose their job that works in the office. So hopefully they land on their feet. I'm sure they're going to get a pretty substantial compensation package for that. But in terms of like product, I don't think the product is going to change much on television. I think where we'll see the bigger bang is going to be, they're talking about, once again, like these crossover weekends, like these bundled weekends would be insane for a city. And now, we talked about Tony Khan making sure they went to Wembley where they had to pay for rent for Wembley, as typically anybody does. WWE didn't go to Wembley because Cardiff, where they went, actually paid them to come. So now you can imagine what that price tag is looking like. On some of these shows, you're looking at WWE has already surpassed Super Bowl when it comes to how much money they generate for the economy wherever city they're in. You add UFC to that, big money, man. Big money, big plays. So shout out to everybody that's involved. This is now a non-owned Vince McMahon and McMahon family WWE, which I don't really care either way, to be honest. They're still involved. But I saw a lot of people on social media a couple days ago just like, oh my God, this is, the last show that Vince McMahon is ever going to be the top guy. Do we see Shane and Vince and Stephanie on Raw? It's like, no, we don't. It's not. No, we do not.
So those people must still then be rooting for Vince. Because Vince, he's canceled in my mind. You got Hogan, and you got...
It's real to them, damn it.
Yeah, you're right. It's still real to me.
One thing that Nick Khan did say that I want to get your guys' thoughts on. They asked him about CM Punk.
What?
Let's try to dissect the speaker corporate talk of this. Okay? He says...
What's the question?
We only have... Will CM Punk are you guys looking to bring him back to WWE?
Okay.
Nick Khan says, we only have respect for Phil. We appreciate his run here. We appreciate what he did and what he tried to do with the UFC. Not many people can actually get in there and do what he did. So, when we have respect for Phil, we wish him nothing but the best.
Whoa.
End quote.
I take that as Nick is like, I'm straight. I don't want anything to do with him. That's how I interpret it. Eshaun, what you think?
Man, these are the same guys who said they weren't selling either. So you never know. I don't think he's going to play his hand either way. I don't think you can look too much into his comments to decipher what he's trying to say. Because honestly, at the end of the day, Nick Khan is a true salesperson. You never know when the truth starts and stops. So we'll see.
Now, there was talk that it was going to be Nick Khan's call on if Punk comes back. Because Vince has got his hands in a lot of things. So he's going to be the one that officially signs off or does not sign off on it. That's a whole lot of PR speak. He didn't say anything there. But it was funny when this quote came out. It was just funny reading people. And if you want Punk back, you took that quote as, oh my God, he's coming back.
Yeah.
If you don't want Punk back, you took that quote as, Nick Khan said, screw CM Punk.
Yeah, I was just
like, there was a bunch of nothing in
Yeah.
that quote. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean,
We'll
and
see.
that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, that's great legal jargon, and that doesn't tilt his head either way. I mean, it's perfect.
Yep. So let's talk first NXT. We typically don't talk much NXT on the show, but let's talk NXT because we had last night Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch for the women's NXT title, and I am very happy with what I saw. Actually, what I saw was exactly what I wanted to see, and that was that Tiffany Stratton showed that she belongs. And I knew already, I felt it, but I'm like, all right, well, if she's going to go against Becky, title match, main event, this is show and prove. By far her biggest match she's ever had in wrestling. Big time spot. They put a lot of resources behind last night's show. I think I counted 4 or 5 commercials doing Raw. I remember back in the day where you got like one promo spot. It was like 4 or 5 commercials doing Raw about it. They actually had the contract signing with Becky and Tiffany on Raw. I was like, okay. And then I heard word was that they were really trying to beat AEW's demo this week. So I guess we'll see when the ratings come out. But I thought it was a great match. Becky wins. So looks like we talked about it a couple weeks ago. All right, let's see what you do after Trish. And she had her match with Zoe. She had this match. It looks like she has course corrected whatever was going on. Maybe it was just like oil and water with her and Trish until that cage match where they killed it. But I thought the match was fantastic. What'd you guys think about the match?
Match overall, 2 thumbs up. I was happy in the showing there with Tiffany. I'm just saying, come on up to the main card, baby girl. She already had the look. She already had the mic skills for it. She showed that she can hang in the ring with somebody who's a veteran, who's good in the ring. Come on up.
He did it. He is on mute.
Yeah.
My man did. He ain't done in a couple of weeks. Shout out to
a few
you,
weeks.
Man. now we got to reset that counter.
Start all over again. You got 6 months, Eshaun, to not go on mute.
Hey, to my defense, it is really late here where I live, so I can take a fumble or two. But I was saying I agree with Rhodesia. Tiffany Stratton looks great. She sounds great. She definitely believes in her character. And it's perfect that the Barbie movie came out, right? Because like her character always seemed like Barbie, so she already kind of knew who she was. Good match. I like Becky winning because it puts some more shine, emphasis, and eyes on the NXT brand. So I think that's good. Really good match.
Was it what you expected from both of you? Was it when you saw, okay, this is where we're going? Besides the finish, we could dissect the finish on, hey, did the right person go over? I already saw some, dialogue on social media saying that Tiffany should have went over. You had a chance to make Tiffany. I think that's flawed because this isn't time to make Tiffany. Tiffany will be made on the main roster if she decides, if they decide to go to the main roster. And it was a clean finish. So I don't even know if you do a rematch. We did see Becky with Kiana James a couple segments before that in the promo segment. So I'm going to assume we're going to see something there. But the actual match itself, was it what you expected when you heard about the title match?
I would say, yeah, it was exactly what I expected, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any expectations of it really going into the match. You know, I didn't really think of anything either way. I was actually open for Becky losing. I was open for her winning. I think it'd be fine either way. You know, Tiffany just got the title recently. However, you know, there's a lot of benefit to Becky holding that title. There's a lot of benefit to a main roster and someone as big as Becky holding that championship. Kind of what they tried to do with Charlotte, you know, a couple years ago when she held the title, trying to elevate the brand and also the division. But I don't think that the company was fully behind the brand at the time, so it didn't go where it needed to go. But right now, we're in a whole new regime. And I think that Becky holding the title is going to definitely be some positive for the company.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how long she's in NXT for. And is it going to be primary NXT, or she's going to do the Dom thing where every week? I mean, Dom's working all 3 shows now, but
hard-working
we'll see,
man.
You know. Yeah, so
when Finn went back down there, he never won again, did he?
He did.
He did win? Okay, he did win when he went down there. Okay. I have something in the tuck as far as my comment on the match, but I don't want to jump ahead. But I got more to say about why I feel like the finish was the finish, as far as why we have a new NXT Women's Champion. And
give it to us.
She was like, hell, Nia Jax coming back to Raw? I don't want to get lost in that shuffle even more. I'm gonna stay down here. Let me win this title real quick and stay down here.
So she just made the audible. She called the audible Monday night, like, you know what?
Play action, right?
I think I'll stay in Full Sail for a while. I know Eshaun cannot wait to talk about
the irresistible force.
But you had you actually had a question surrounding NXT, so you might as well hit that too.
Yeah, you know, I've been talking about NXT for quite some time. Really enjoyable show. And I just wonder, like, why, when I say why don't we, I mean, we as wrestling fans, right? We say, you know, if you're watching this show or you're listening to us on the pod, you're probably, you know, a hardcore fan. And why aren't we watching NXT? Because I feel like it's a brand that's tailor-made for hardcore wrestling fans. And when you look at the ratings, you know, and let's take the revamp when Vince and Bruce went down there and they fired everybody and brought
2.0
people in and they all think, take that time period out. It's been some time since that, and especially when Shawn Michaels has kind of revved up the creative on that show. Why are we watching that show? Because there's a lot of good things on the show. I would assume that you guys watch majority of the show. What do you guys think about the NXT brand, and why aren't maybe you as a fan watching more, and why don't you think people watch in general?
For me, I think it's the obvious for me. It's just the time. We get only so many hours in a week to watch wrestling. I think that got burned when 2.0 first came out, and it was nothing like what I expected. So every time I watch NXT now, which is only maybe 30 minutes once a month, I'm still impressed. I still like what I see. It was just that I feel like I probably was burned when 2.0 came out. It was like, hey, I was an old school NXT fan. You switched the game up on me. And then plus, again, we're already watching roughly, 5 to 6 hours of Raw, SmackDown, Collision. Actually, it's more than that, like 8 hours roughly of Dynamite, Collision, Raw, SmackDown a week. So I think for me, it's purely just the time. I don't think that there's anything I saw like today where I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch this next week. Like, I'm actually kind of interested to watch next week.
I typically watch more than not. I don't watch live. But yeah, you're talking 9 hours between WWE and AEW main shows. And it was the same reason why ROH was not going to get any time from me, even if the show was great. Same reason why I never watched Dark or Elevation, even though those were, we know what that was about on YouTube. But I'm already watching Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. If there's a pay-per-view on Sunday, then Sunday. But like I said, I do watch more often than not. I watch for like probably the last since 2 PLEs ago. I will watch at least something from each show. Now, there's times where I fast forward through a lot, or I only check out the highlights of anything that I think is going to be good. But to actually like sit down and watch the full 2 hours, I've done that maybe. That's probably like maybe once a month. But to your point, I am thoroughly entertained when I do watch it. There's some hokey things, but I like the hokey stuff. Like the show, last night when I forgot, it was Rock's daughter. I forgot her group.
Ava. Right?
Yeah, Ava. They have the promo and they got like the little funky music in the background. Super hokey, but I'm like, this is cool. Like NXT is also the kind of thing where you would say it's a buffet. That's also NXT.
I can see that.
Because you get everything from NXT. Now, there are some people that I'm not that high on. Like when I watch, I'm kind of like, okay, they're cool, but I'm not super invested. So probably the answer would be the reason why I don't watch weekly 2 hours, even if it's on, DVR, is probably just because there's some people down there that I'm not into, but like their main event scene, I'm locked into it.
Absolutely, because time for me is what prevents me from watching it more often than not. Because if you think about it, as far as like the time aspect of it, we thought we didn't have enough time to watch more wrestling before a Collision, right? But now we're figuring out how to shuffle 2 hours of Collision into our
on a
diet,
Saturday. How much of a loser are we?
Hey. Well, Sunday morning for me, right? Because it was always gonna be a Sunday show for me. But back in the day, I used to always try to get Matt to watch TNA. Like, man, I just don't have enough time. And back then, we only had 5-hour shows. Now
it was just Raw and SmackDown.
Now you watch a 25-hour. So I feel like as fans, we can put more. To have too much good wrestling is a problem, right? But we can always fit in where we can get in. But I will say, as far as NXT, for those who aren't watching and maybe watch more often, you think about NXT right now is not too much far away from the NXT Black and Gold era, right? Back then you have more seasoned talent, right, on that main roster, wrestling at a high level. But a lot of these new guys are, especially the main event scene, are wrestling just as a high level. It's a very easy show to watch. You know who to root for, you know who to root against. They're not going to really insult your intelligence much, right? So it's a very easy watch for me. And I think it's a perfect synergy between NXT and the main roster right now. I think that if this synergy was present back when the Gold and Black was around, I think the company would have been in better standing right now, right? Because you can see there's an emphasis on if let's say you got like Baron Corbin down there, you got Ali, guys, they're not doing a whole lot in the main roster. Well, okay, why don't you go work with younger talent down at NXT? Let's refresh your act, do something new down there, right? Work with the new talent. Then you got Becky Lynch winning the championship. I'm sure she's going to get proper shine on the main roster. They're going to elevate the show. They're going to advertise the show. They're going to make it seem important. You might even see something with the draft. So I think there's a perfect synergy right now. And I think back in the day, I think one of the things Matt was saying is like, hey, I'm going to get invested into this talent. And then they're going to get caught up, in 2 months, and they're going to be a different character. Well, now I don't think you're going to get that now. I think the guys who they are, Sean and Triple H have a synergy amongst each other. So Tiffany Stratton is going to be Tiffany Stratton on the main roster. And the thing is, like, her character is made for the main roster. I think they are making characters that's going to eventually cross over to their mainstream audience. So I think it's just a perfect time to get in. Into the division.
Yep. No, I was going to say that. I was about to pull up the roster. You guys know it. If you look at their roster, the roster in terms of their characters, the gimmicks, they're ready made for main roster. Yeah, they may have to make some tweaks. It wasn't like Black and Gold. Black and Gold walked so AEW could run. That was what Black and Gold NXT was. But we knew there were people that were like, man, this works in Black Gold, but man, this ain't probably going to work on WWE. Or they're not going to allow it to work. Vince is going to make it change. And the biggest one was Bayley. Bayley still could be the female John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they would have to make some tweaks at this point, but it didn't work. And it didn't work because they didn't want it to work. But if you kind of look at, the top folks in NXT, you look at that and say, yep, that can translate now to Raw and SmackDown seamlessly compared to what it was in Black and Gold. So that's a really good call there.
I didn't quite see the vision of 2.0 when it first happened. And I think a lot of it was fueled because it was like Vince took over it. So I guess there was some resentment that maybe I had with that because
no, it sucked.
but we also didn't see the vision. I mean, you go from something that was so good, like technically sound in the Black and Gold brand to 2.0 with a lot of green new face people. And it was just something that I just didn't see the vision. But like you said, they are absolutely easier to pluck out here and add them to the main roster. One thing I noticed, and just today, and probably just a couple minutes ago while y'all were talking, is it me or does it feel like NXT women's division is plentiful and important? They are more so than it is than in the main card.
I only come out here every single week and say Shawn Michaels and Scott D'Amore and Impact are only two shows that know how to book women's wrestling.
But but it's plentiful women
in America.
I've heard you say that plenty of times. I've even heard you mention that. But you think of, or for me, I thought of just really a few women, your top 2 or 3. But like watching last night NXT, there was a lot of women that had important roles. Like watching the show itself, it probably is just as much men I saw on TV as women between the backstage scenes and wrestling. Wouldn't that be a pretty fair statement to make?
Probably close. Yeah. But once again, it's presentation. They have the capable, able bodies on main roster WWE. They just aren't using them the way Shawn uses them in NXT, the way Impact uses them. But that is going to change because who came back Monday night, baby?
Yes.
Eshaun, take it away. Eshaun may be the biggest Nia Jax fan.
Yeah.
In the history
I'm going to lay out right now for the next 5 minutes.
The world.
Go ahead, Eshaun.
So, Eshaun, when we into the main event and they going and they're trying to sell this story, all of a sudden now Raquel is stronger than Rhea
and taller.
First time they've told this story, but okay, whatever. I'm gonna just go with it because I don't want to be grumpy old man. So we're going with that story. There's nobody stronger than Raquel, not even Rhea. She's dominating her. She's about to throw her in the ring. Then we get somebody to come hit her from behind. Rolls her up as Nia Jax. Eshaun, in that moment, what went through your head, sir?
Excuse my language, God. I said they got me fucked up.
How so, Eshaun? How so?
We gonna end the hiring freeze to bring back Nia Jax. Look, I don't want to.
You don't grow Nia alone, man.
I wasn't gonna come on here and talk about Nia. It's nothing personal, man. This is just about the character in her wrestling. I am just not a fan. I think she's horrible in the ring. I think she's a horrible wrestling personality. I don't think there's anything redeeming about what she does. And they brought her back, and she looked horrible. Not physically. Actually, she looked all right physically, actually, kind of.
Yeah, she looked really
great.
good.
You can go on somewhere with that. She looked great. She sure did.
I mean, for a moment, I forgot about how bad she was in the ring. But then she sat down. I mean, like her bonsai splash, man. It looked like
the bonsai drop, baby.
It looked like Rhea felt all of that. Like she just put on nothing but ass and thigh all over her, man.
I thought she was about to sit on her face. That's why I probably shouldn't say that. It's episode 69. Well, I'll say for that.
Then, oh my God, 69. And then she added insult to injury. She started smacking the shit out of Rhea.
She sure did.
Before, right? Like if Rhea had to react to it, right? Because she started smacking it. She was a little too hype, man. I'm not excited about anything she's gonna bring back to the roster. Hey, I hope she changes my mind, man. And Nia, if you ever listen to this, man, it's nothing personal. I just don't like you as a wrestler. I'm sure you're a beautiful woman, and I'm sure you are a nice person, but your character is horrible. It's the shits, and I'm not looking forward to anything you do in the main roster. I'm sorry to tell you that.
I think it's the chip on her shoulder that you see and that you feel that way. And I don't know if it's because she's Samoan. I don't know if it's because she's related to The Rock or she's just a larger woman.
She's bad in the ring. That's all. It's just she's bad in the ring, and she's an even horrible promo and personality.
I like
think it's
Nia
just-
Jax.
I think it's just because like her song, she's not like most girls, and that's probably why you getting her a little mixed up. Yeah, you don't know how to take her. I'm not mad at it.
I
at
like
all.
Nia.
I'm not mad at it. I still wish we would have got the Rhodesia and Vows. I've been talking about for years, way before the Bloodline story started.
Mhm.
I came up with this Samoan mafia family, or I think I called it Samoan gangster family. I can't remember, one of the two. And it was kind of what we got from the Bloodline. And it was putting all the Samoans together and just
And you had her in
running
it?
roughshod. Yeah, I had her.
Yeah,
in it.
she's
I
I had her.
she's
I
on.
had her and Tamina in it,
I'm going on
running
mute for the rest of this
roughshod, and
conversation.
she was like the heater, where she really didn't wrestle much, but like kind of like what Rhea does. It was now Rhea's starting to wrestle again, but it was almost a carbon copy of what Rhea does for the Judgment Day. So I'm not mad at it. I do know that they said that she is now set to be the number 2 heel on Raw behind Rhea, so she's getting a monster push. I guess she's been under contract for like over a month. They said, and they were just waiting to debut her. So I'm not mad at her. To your point, reason why I brought that up right there, Rudy, is just because you talked about it seems like there was just a lot of women presence on NXT. The more women we can get, the better on
Absolutely.
WWE TV. So I'm cool with that. And the match was the match I thought we were going to get at Payback. That was a completely different and better match than the first one they had. So they were holding back. I did really enjoy the match. Like I said, I didn't get down with the whole Raquel's the strongest woman, and nah, I don't get down like that because y'all have never said it before that. But I know
Right.
we got to sell things. I
tell a
get
story.
We got to sell things. Yep, I understand that, but I hated it. I didn't like that.
I thought that when she was sitting on her and smacking the shit out of Rhea, I was like, she was actually hitting her like she thought it was Charlotte.
No, she was no. Remember, they were throwing live rounds. That was the open hand Monday night. Those closed fists with Charlotte. I saw
She
that
said,
clip today.
you look good enough like Charlotte. Bing, bing,
I saw
bing,
that clip
bing.
today. Wait, she was in Charlotte's wedding. So,
Yeah, they're
Ooh.
cool. Yeah, she
Ooh.
after that,
Charlotte,
they didn't
yeah.
have any issues after that. That's
Oh,
why if Punk
Lord.
and Young Bucks would have did the same thing, CM Punk would still be in AEW right now.
Yeah, Nia cheering with Charlotte Andrade for her comeback.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So all y'all making fun of my girl Nia, she gonna show and prove. All y'all wrong. I mean, she may not, but I'm here for it.
I'm
She looked
excited.
great.
I'm excited.
Yep.
Super excited.
Yep. She looked great. What do y'all think about so now we got week 2 of the Jey Uso story. What's your quick, incomplete thoughts?
I'm still incomplete. I was actually about to spin the question around to y'all and kind of ask y'all, why is the Judgment Day going after him so hard? So I don't know if I just like completely ignored your question there. I just feel like it's still incomplete. But my whole thing is just the message we got from Raw was they want him.
That's a big part of the story. Besides, everybody hates him.
Except for the
Everybody
Judgment Day.
hates him
They
besides
all
Judgment
respect
Day.
him. They respect him.
Best part of Raw was when he wasn't paying attention to a damn thing Finn said. And Finn's
You
talking
talking
about everybody
backstage?
likes him.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, Rhea likes you. He's like, for real? He was all of us at that moment. I understand, Jay. You are all of us, sir. We appreciate that. I like the story. Actually, I think the story, they have legs. I don't know how, once again, we don't know how this is going to finish up. Maybe they come back together as the Bloodline in January to start the Mania build, or maybe it's February. Who knows? But they can run this for the rest of the year easily. And I think he's showing and yes, it's presentation, but there is a significant difference in presence between Jay by himself and Jimmy by himself that I did not know was there like that 3 weeks ago.
You didn't?
Yeah, I'd have thought that you would have known it was there.
The amount of push that Jay's been getting over this whole program, he's
I'm
the
talking
one that's
just
been going head to head with
Well-
Roman, not Jimmy.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking I'm talking about presence. So if you take just like they have their entrances, I know one is of course hype, the other one is more subdued, but when you watch him by himself, Jimmy, he is a few levels below what Jay looks like. And I didn't think it was that big of a contrast before this. That's all.
What I found interesting that we got it that quick was Jay accidentally super kicking KO. And then, that happening. Because, of course, we knew when KO came back, there's hell that's got to be paid by Jay and by Sammy. But when he super kicked him, I was like, sheesh, that's not helping your case at all, Jay.
See, this is what, like, when you guys were coming to me last week about I want storylines in wrestling, you was giving me a dude in a neck brace. That wasn't it. This is it. Because that's storytelling right there, right? Because, like, he kicked him in the face. KO now doesn't know how to take him. It's like this thing with the Judgment Day. Is he going to join? Which he probably won't, but it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds and what happens. Because a lot of ways, like we kind of did talk about on last week on Raw, like Dominic created a narrative that was kind of true. You kind of felt for him in a lot of ways, right? That he really believes this story that he had is about his family, like abandoning him, and his dad being a deadbeat dad, and how he knows how it feels for a family being against him, and etc. And then it kind of had Jay thinking a little bit. It's just interesting, the story that they're trying to tell. Now you can kind of know where it's going to go, but the journey right now is really nice. But you think about the journey we're taking on Raw, the journey is kind of wacky over there on SmackDown, but I'm enjoying what we're getting on Raw.
Well, I was about to ask you, you brought up the Roddy Strong piece again that we talked about on Sunday's pod. So whose story is better right now? Roddy's story with MJF and Adam Cole, or Jimmy's story right now with the Bloodline?
To me, Roddy and Adam Cole is.
You guys have like the worst takes and opinions on wrestling. Oh my God. Roddy, do you really?
See,
do you mean Roddy, or do you mean MJF and Adam Cole?
I think he really just dislikes Roddy, because you got Jay. You got 2 weeks in him, Jay.
This one he just doesn't have an answer. And instead of him saying it is Roddy because the Jimmy story is dead on arrival in SmackDown, he doesn't want to say that because then he'll know I'll say, aha, I got you, and then we'll move on. So he had to go with, we have the worst takes in the world, because there's no way in the world he thinks Jimmy super kicking Roman to get out the Bloodline asking to get back in the Bloodline.
I do have an answer.
Then a real life story with Adam Cole.
I don't think Roddy Strong is funny. I don't find him charismatic.
But there's a story. But it's still a story. That's the whole thing. You're trying to say it wasn't a story. It's a story.
I just asked the story was better. I just asked the story was better. So you're saying the Jimmy story is better? There
is a story. It's a shitty story. Can you understand that? I think it's a bad story.
So you're saying the Jimmy story is better?
I'm actually more intrigued than where Jimmy goes than where Roddy goes.
No, I ain't not what you're more intrigued with. I'm only going with the facts and what you've seen for the last 2 weeks since Jimmy's been back.
It's funny. I can say yes in 1,000 ways, but until you hear yes, you don't hear yes. Yes, Matt. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so you think the Jimmy story better? And if anybody's listening, that just shows you how bullheaded Eshaun is when he knows he's wrong.
Exactly.
He still rolls with it. Nobody in the world would say this Jimmy story is good.
No, nobody. Roddy is not funny, and he is not
to you though. But that's to you. That's you. When Roddy damn near broke his toe kicking the tire, it popped me. It popped me.
Well, you also like the Leatherface Jeff Jarrett match too.
No, I didn't. I didn't. The match I did. The match I did. But when Leatherface came out, I said, okay, no, we went to a whole nother level at that point.
That was, Rhodesia, probably your worst take in the history of the show. That's the one that, like, 2 years from now, when we are like nationally syndicated and all that, people are going to pull that up and it's like, look what she said.
All the fake blood and everything. That match was great until Leatherface came out.
That was horrible. Speaking of matches for Dynamite, who do you guys have winning between Samoa Joe and Roddy Strong to take on MJF at Grand Slam?
Oh, Roddy Strong's going to win with the neck brace. He's going to choke him out somehow with it, and it's going to continue that great story you guys are talking about.
There we go.
It has to be Samoa Joe, right? You can't, like, you gotta that promo segment last week in the ring. You can't just leave that. The Roddy story is more about Adam Cole than it is MJF.
About MJF, right?
Yeah. So
are we?
Samoa Joe's got to win that.
Is it ending at Dreamcast? I call it Dreamcast. It's called Dreamcast, right? Or is that the old?
No, all my video game fans.
Hey, I started to laugh at her, but then I'm like, I think she might be close to being right though. What's it called?
It's not Dreamcast.
Dreamcast. Let's roll with Dreamcast. Let's go with that.
It might be Dreamcast though.
It's not Dreamcast.
It's called Dreamcast.
Yeah, I think it might be called Dreamcast.
It is called Wrestle Dream, guys.
Close enough.
Both of y'all said it was called Dreamcast. It's nuts.
I had a Dreamcast.
Dreamcast was the best system in history before like PS5 and Series X. It was so much better than the PS2. Anybody who played video games back in the day, the best home system ever.
It
probably until this
was,
generation.
yeah. It just I read a whole story about that recently about the demise of the Dreamcast and how it happened. Very
And what
unfortunate.
they say, because I don't remember. It was just Sega was bad, right? Or was it Sony? They came in with the PS2 and that was it.
I think it was more so the financial piece. I think the Dreamcast cost so much money that they just couldn't recoup the money back.
Mm.
It was just
Such a
they
good
just spent too
system,
much money
man.
on it.
What
And
was your
like it
favorite
was,
game on that
and
system?
it was years of Sega flopping too, right? So it was like if this was just one thing, but it was like years of them making bad
Well, yeah,
investments that they couldn't
remember you
take
had
this last hit.
Sega CD,
Oh
32X,
man,
Saturn.
yeah.
Those were
I
real
had the
bad.
Saturn too, bro. Like
Oh, the
these-
Saturn
man,
was
we-
actually
we
my
going-
absolute favorite one right there.
Cause I
That
didn't think
was
Saturn
rough.
was that bad. I had a what was it, Super Nintendo and a Saturn at the same time. I thought I was doing something too, man.
Like the Saturn was cool. It just didn't have any games.
Yeah.
It just didn't have games. And then remember when Sega CD came out and it was all about like the real full motion video and that was like the thing. Those are the times. Those were the times.
Man, anybody under 30 is like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
They talk about Dreamcast.
Do
It's
your
called
Googles
Wrestle
on-
Dream.
Do your Googles on the Sega Dreamcast, a goated video game system for sure. We talked about it on Sunday. We didn't get to it. The Swerve and Hangman. It's been now a week, so we won't deep dive it the way I kind of wanted to. But I do have a question for both of you. After watching that segment, who's going to come out of this feud looking better? Swerve or Hangman?
There's a world where both can, because Hangman
I
has
know,
been
that's-
pretty.
yeah, but like, I want like divisiveness. I don't. That's an easy answer. Of
Okay.
course, that's the hope. But
Swerve, because he's going to be the first black male NXT, Lord have mercy, AEW World Champion.
Well, I said who's coming out of the feud looking better. I didn't say who's going to finish their career being better. So after this
We'll
feud
go
is
with
over,
Swerve.
are we looking at Hangman in a much, much higher light than we do now? Or are we looking at Swerve in a much higher light?
Since I can't say both, I'll go with Swerve.
See, I was rolling with you, Rhodesia, because you're saying that Swerve because that's going to put him on the trajectory to be the next world champion, right?
Exactly.
I'm with you. And I'm with you on that. I would like that. I just don't think they're going to do it, man. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger on Swerve.
Well, I definitely don't think I don't think they'll put a trigger on him being a world champion. I mean, the MJF's got too much going on.
Well, I don't even mean the. I don't mean.
You don't see him in
the world
TNT
champion
either. TNT or international. You don't see him getting a belt at all.
Well, what I mean by pull the trigger by having him winning this feud, right? Because I
got
think,
you.
yeah, that's what I mean by. I don't think they're gonna pull the trigger on Swerve having him win. I think it's gonna be one of those. You know, it's like we talked about earlier. He's gonna show. It's gonna be a good showing. You know, he's gonna be a credible threat.
Here we go.
Right, but at the end, Hangman's gonna win.
Good showing.
Right, I think the story, and we'll see. Like they could prove me wrong. They have in the past multiple times. But I think this is going to be a not necessarily a redemption story for Hangman, but you know, he's questioning his effort and his hunger for the business.
Yep.
Right.
He said, "I'll take it if you don't want it."
And I think this is going to be something that's going to, Swerve is going to bring something out of Hangman. Right. And he's going to bring the mean, the hungry side of Hangman out. It's going to propel him to like the next level, maybe the challenge MJF for the championship to some kind of degree. Whereas, Swerve is going to be left in the dust with another loss. I think it would be awesome. It'd be shocking if he actually won this. But at the same time, who would be his next? Who would be his next person he would wrestle? Right? Because Moxley is a heel, quote unquote, kind of right.
Face, because he's there in Ohio and he's taking on Big Bill. So he's a face this week, I guess. Yeah. I mean, the thing about it, when you pull back some layers on it, this could be a story arc like Kenny's story was with Takeshita. Kenny ain't won in like 2 months. Or whatever. I think it was 2 months or whatever it is. He hasn't won. They could do the same thing with Hangman, where this could be the beginning of him trying to show that he still has it and he doesn't. Because do you want Swerve losing 2 major feuds back to back? Because I'm going to say he lost the Darby Sting feud. He was the one that went to the casket. So do you want to do that? Or is it going to be enough to where he comes out here and cuts these incredible promos, has a hell of a match with Hangman, and that's enough to, as you say, it's a good showing. Okay, now he can move up somewhere else. I don't know.
I'm just telling you, both of these guys can come out better. They should. It's
They
ripe.
should.
It's prime ripening for them. They should. Swerve have all that passion. Hangman, we know what he's capable of, but I feel like he's been pretty much dud for a while. Come on, there is a world where both can flourish after this.
But I agree totally with you, Rhodesia, because I think that Hangman will ultimately end up winning the feud. But I think in the story itself, I think that Swerve's going to continue to impress on the microphone. He's going to continue to impress, in the ring, because I think that was a hell of a promo that he cut. I don't know if it was his best. Maybe it is. I can't think of another promo I liked by him more. But I want to say up until this moment, this was like the best promo he's cut, and he seemed so believable.
Yeah.
In his tone, his cadence, and his demeanor going to the ring. It just was amazing. Right? And then, Hangman has to keep up. Mm-hmm. Right? Because like if you look at the two, there's definitely Swerve seems hungry for more and for a bigger spot. Not just in character, but just as a performer. Like, yep. I want more. Like, you can see it. And I don't feel that from Hangman. And I think that's going to bleed over to the storyline. I think Swerve's going to bring and pull some out of Hangman that we haven't seen him in quite some time, maybe from a character standpoint. So, like Rhodesia said, I think we're going to win right there, just getting more out of Hangman, right? We're going to continue to see Swerve flourish in this role. I think this is going to be probably one of the better feuds AEW is going to have. If they give some time, let them do their due. This will be one of their better, like just like pure, simple storytelling, good versus evil type thing.
Simple storytelling, and where you like both people in it. Like how I watched Tiffany and Becky strictly to see what Tiffany was going to do. We're watching this feud to see both of them push each other. Because, let's be honest, Hangman laid out for Swerve in that promo. He could have, it's not time yet, but typically in that type of promo, the face can come back and fire up and basically squash everything that the heel just said. And you want me to show you who I am? Let's fight. And he could have took all that heat that Swerve just had and, kind of threw it away. And he didn't. He ate it. He ate it all. And I'm sure we'll get a promo maybe, this week on AEW where he kind of can start telling that story. But to me, this is the type of storyline and feud that can really build momentum for both of them and for whatever show it's going to be on. If it's going to be on Dynamite or Collision, looks like they're really starting to flip-flop people now that Punk is gone. But wherever it's at, I think there's a really big opportunity.
I wanted this to stay on Dynamite, but I can see it being on Collision too.
Oh, definitely. Hey, before you go real fast, Rhodesia, let me tell you something, man. You talked about Miz and LA Knight and how, Miz was kind of eating up LA Knight.
Yeah.
I feel like Swerve is going to eat up Hangman on the microphone if Hangman doesn't step up and bring something new to the table verbally. We know he can go in the ring, right? We've seen him have those bloody matches with Moxley, but we haven't seen him turn up on that microphone and show some fire on that bad boy. Like, we've seen him do a little bit with Punk, a little bit, right? But, not the way Swerve's given to him.
Yep. Yeah.
He started shooting.
It's acting. Remember, it was in Any Given Sunday. We're actors. We're acting. This is a movie talking about Cool J. So, quick question for y'all. Something a little bit lighthearted on this one here. When Swerve was going in on Hangman, did you think for a hot second he was about to talk about Hangman having action figures on the shelves?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
I did. No. I was like, oh my God, he's about to go. I was like, oh, he's a Punk guy.
No, because Swerve was dead serious. He wasn't there for games. He wasn't there for games. I'm like, this is why your boy Prince Nana, man.
Hey, you know what it
come out there shucking and jiving.
Air horns.
For the crowd, man. Oh,
you should be Prince Nana for Halloween. You should be Prince Nana for Halloween. We'll take some photos, plaster all over social media. We'll get Prince Nana to retweet it, send it out on Instagram. Sweet. That's the way to go, man.
That'd be sweet.
I think you are his biggest fan. Before anybody even really cared about him, you hated him already. So, like, they say hate is like really close to love.
But you know what though? Like, I like one thing. I like Prince Nana a hell of a lot more than Roddy. I think Prince Nana is way more entertaining, funny than anything Rodney's
Told
ever
you he's
done.
just a hater.
But like not like if he just tones it down just a tad, right? Because
he can't now, man.
Because the reason why I say that,
now.
because in a lot of ways it is kind of entertaining a little bit, but I think it takes away from what Swerve's doing. It's the only thing that that's my biggest thing. Because you got Swerve coming out looking razor focused, super
slow,
like
slow,
he
just kind of
slow,
like menacing.
Like he's like a super villain, right? Then you got this dude who's like the jester, like rolling next to him. If he can just turn it down a little bit, I like what he's doing. Like he kind of announced he's kind of like Swerve's hype man, give him the mic. I like all of that, but he can just turn it down a little bit because Swerve on a whole nother level than what Nana doing right now. And now that whole Nana thing is cool for Cage and the other jokers, but when Swerve out there, I need him to like take some of that eyes off of him and put it all on Swerve.
And we got Cage and Hangman tonight, which is gonna be crazy.
I think so.
That's number 3.
I think so.
I think they're 1-1. So, but we know how that's going to finish. Yeah. Cage is part of Swerve's group, so should be fun.
Eshaun,
should be fun.
Between Prince Nana and Alex of Lucha Bros guy, who do you dislike more?
Oh, Alex.
The hype man.
Yeah.
That's funny. Quick hits. Going back to WWE. I can't buy into Shinsuke as a challenger right now.
What?
And I'm going back to you lost clean, and I don't even understand why you even are getting another shot. So like the videos, they just should have protected that finish better. If we were going to continue this, figure out a different finish. That finish was just a miss. So me watching the videos on Monday night, and they were done well. Him still talking in, his native language and the subtitles and all that. But I'm just like, nah, man, like you lost already. Like why do I think you have a chance? And yeah, they can tell the story of Seth's running too hard, but I was like, oh, I'm disconnected. When I was watching it, I was like, uh-oh, this is not doing it now for me. So I know I'm probably in the minority in that, but I was like, I don't know about that.
What did you feel? How do you feel about Seth's, I guess, response to it before we saw Shinsuke beating up? I forgot. Ricochet.
Ricochet.
Yeah.
And man, he's another one. I thought he was going to be out of here.
And when he won the tournament last year.
Well, no, you wait.
The IC championship. Let's go back to that. Let's go back. I'm about to get hype again.
That tournament, I'm talking about when him and Paul fought at SummerSlam. When he lost, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a completely now different direction for Ricochet, and they're about to push him to the stratosphere. And that's like nothing. So I'm disappointed in that. But
Seth's
his promo was cool.
He was good. Okay.
Yeah, like I thought it was cool, but I just can't. I'm not emotionally invested at all. And all you had to do was figure out a finish to that match at the pay-per-view where you still protected Shinsuke. And this is a different story for me, but you didn't. So now I'm just like, whatever, man. I don't care.
How you feel what I do care about?
Oh, sorry.
What's that?
How you feel about it?
Oh, I mean, I'm as invested in it as I was the previous match.
So minimal.
Very. I actually fast forwarded through Seth. I fast forwarded through Seth, his entire little exchange. I only stopped till we put the boots down at Ricochet, and I thought, like, damn, poor Ricochet. I thought he actually did pretty decent with his Logan Paul feud, and
hated it.
All that work. He got beat down in front of his woman, and he ain't been the same since.
Nothing.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Puerto Rico. Bring him down to NXT,
brother. Yeah, we gotta figure this out, man. I don't like the way they doing you. What I was about to say was what I am, and I know all you guys enjoy it. That Gunther segment was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They made him hitting that record as big as it should have been. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved the pyro. Loved them being in the suits. I love that Chad Gable basically ran back the promo that he did strictly on .com last week, where he said, I swear to God, I'm beating you and I'm taking that title. So as a babyface, we know now he's going to take the title. You can't say that. Do we think that's happening at, what is it called? We just had
Dreamcast. No Mercy.
called?
No, that's
It
on.
is
That's
called-
on. What you
no,
call it?
that's
NXT. That's NXT.
It's one of the ones that they haven't used in a while. And I just knew it. I knew it yesterday. I can't remember now. Whatever.
Hey, did you love Gunther with the no socks and loafers?
He killed that look.
Yes, it looked great.
Yep, he killed that look.
I'm gonna come on probably, and then
I didn't expect him to do that look though. He don't look like that type of look. You know,
I've seen him on Instagram with his lovely new bride, in an outfit like that before.
Really?
So beforehand, I probably would have like, oh my god, this is a different look for him. But I've seen him dressed like that before in pictures.
Yeah, he looked good. He just don't seem like he would be the, the swag suit guy.
Right. They pulled it off. All three of them pulled it off.
Oh yeah, they look
That's
like
what
$1
it
million
is.
bucks. Look like $1 million.
All right,
bucks.
we can't move on until y'all figure out the pay-per-view name.
Okay.
They've used it before.
What time of the year was it?
I think the last time they used it, Dean
I'm just gonna
Ambrose
Google it. I ain't got time
was in
for that.
WWE, and I want to say it was a March. Actually, it was a March pay-per-view.
Not
was a
Backlash.
March pay-per-view.
Payback. As you said, we already had Payback.
Yeah, we already had Payback.
Like it was an old school March. Old school March was No Way Out.
Yeah, right. So it's before that.
We got Fastlane coming up.
Yep, it's Fastlane.
Fastlane was
You're
in
welcome.
March. Oh,
Yep, show was.
and I've been working. I've been working on, and I'm gonna do it probably the next time I'm on the show. How they announce Gunther. I've been working on it. The ring general. I've been working really hard at it, but I don't want to do it right now.
You want to give us like a sneak peek?
Dang.
You felt it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That's great. So do we think that he's beating them in October for the title, or are they going to run it, or does Ciampa get involved first, and then we get that match in like November or December?
Damn, where Johnny at? Well, I thought we was gonna get
he was
back.
Yep, he showed up at a live event this past weekend, and I think he lost to Omos.
Nice.
So Johnny is what he is, I guess, at this point.
But he
Poor
should
Johnny.
lose to Omos, right? He's only a third of Omos' size and build.
Oh, you know what Johnny could do? Johnny could do what Cody's doing right now, and just come out for your entrance.
And just
I
what?
don't know what the hell Cody's doing right now. He just comes out for his entrance. Everybody just sings "Whoa!" Like you talk about somebody who is completely directionlessness right now. That's Cody. It's not his fault, but they got to figure out what his next feud. I don't want to see him again in Dom. Like when that happened Monday, I was like, "What are we doing here?" I get the great pyro for the entrance, but it really feels like he is in some type of holding pattern.
Yeah,
and we know what they're holding him for. But
I really think that R.I.P. I think Bray Wyatt was his next thing. I think Bray was his next thing.
That would make sense, just from what we're seeing on TV right now.
Because it was Bray was coming back. He had boots that was being made. I think that was his next thing. Now he's not there. You can't just create a storyline and someone out of the blue for him. So I think right now they're gonna probably try to fit him somehow into this Jey Uso thing.
Somebody on his level too, right? Like he can't. He's a superstar. You know what I mean? Like you can't just put him in there with somebody because everybody who's a star is really in a feud right now for the most part. So you can't just throw him somebody. But yeah, hopefully he gets kind of on track because I noticed that Monday. Xavier Woods and Drew had a hell of a match. Xavier is that like one guy where you just pick him off like the bench and be like, hey man, we need you to do this, whatever this is. If it's comedy, if it is being serious, if it is a banger of a match, here you go, man, just need you to do this. And he hits it. I thought that was probably the best match of the night.
Good match. He took that Claymore too.
Sure did. And I like the way he took it. That wasn't like a normal
out of nowhere.
It was good. Yep, yeah. They did really, really good. I enjoy that. I also thought the 6-man tag match was fire too, with Imperium and Alpha Academy. With Ciampa.
Oh yeah, and what you call it, Tapped. Oh my God, Gunther is gonna just like he gonna kill them. Because Gunther, if I remember, Gunther was also in a submission, right? And he did not tap. If I could remember how that ended, yeah.
I think both of them were.
They're gonna get an ass whipping from him.
So I do have a question, and then we can end on this. And maybe I'm tripping. Back in the day, if two people were in a submission, or if anybody else was in the ring outside of the legal person when there was a pinfall, didn't the referee not count and tell everybody they had to get out the ring? Or like, am I tripping?
It's a tornado tag. This is a tornado tag.
That was a thing. Yeah, back in the day, the only legal men were allowed in the ring.
That's what I thought. Okay, because even the spot where they hit the tag team move and then they got the one guy.
They got to count to 5, right? So that's why you count to 5. They got to get out 1, 2. So they're in there executing moves and holding submissions.
It was a tornado tag. Y'all missed that.
Was it?
No, it wasn't.
But okay. So how about this? What you just said there? There's been times I've seen on both platforms, major platforms, someone's arm, leg, or whatever will be under the rope and still get pinned and counted out or pinned out. And I'm like, you can't even go for a cover if their body part is under the rope.
Just lazy.
That was what we were taught. Yeah, that was what we were taught back in the day. So, all right, guys. Before we get out of here, what are we most looking forward to for the rest of the wrestling week?
Yeah, I want to see the next exchange between Roddy Strong and his storyline. And quick hit, Marvel vs. Capcom was my favorite game on the Dreamcast.
That was a good one. Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Oh, I thought it was 2, but whatever.
Classic game. Yeah, maybe it was 2. I thought it was 3.
I think it was 2.
One, yeah, okay.
Last thing on the Dreamcast, like those NBA 2K games really ate. They ate on the Dreamcast.
NFL 2K. Those are still better than the Madden games we get now.
And you guys might not be aware of them. Fire Pro Wrestling D was also on the Dreamcast. Amazing game. This was the first wrestling game where you can download new moves. Spike was the manufacturer of the game, and you can download new moves directly to the game, right? And I don't know what we were using for internet back then, but it was just so, from a technology standpoint, like a breakthrough. It was amazing. As far as I'm looking forward to,
was that an import? Was that an import? That wasn't a U.S. game, right?
It was an import.
Okay,
it was an import. Yep, it was an import. You know what? I guess I'm actually really interested into checking out Impact this week. I want to see the new production. I like to give Impact a shot every now and then because they have some talent over there. Bubba Ray on Bus Opens really been touting it. I know you mentioned before.
So does that start this week? The new production?
You know what? I watched the preview from a week ago, and the show looked a little better because, man, the production I watched like a couple months ago, it just looked like Bush League, and it just really took away from. I'm not really even a wrestling snob like that, but the production just really didn't do it for him. So I'm looking forward to give it another shot. Speaking of, and also that was the other thing too. Back to because you just said about the production. You guys know I am a production snob. If you were to take NXT out of Full Sail, I call it Full Sail still. I don't even know if that's what it's called.
Called Performance Center.
And if you somehow can go to like really, really, really small arenas, I would watch that show and watch every minute of that show. It is like just them being in that small, same people in the crowd that's kind of like fatiguing a little bit.
You said that before.
Yep. Yeah. For me, it is SmackDown. We got Cena and the Grayson Waller effect, so I'm interested to see where we lead with that. And then we get LA Knight and Miz again. So they must have a plan on that show. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like on SmackDown. All right, ladies and germs, we are out of here. Shout out to show socials. That's FNW on Twitter and on Instagram, YouTube. That's Freakin' Wrestling. Leave us 5-star reviews, comments, all that kind of good stuff. Shout out to everybody that follows the Twitter or the X that really are involved with the show. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We will be on our good guys Ryan's podcast. It is called Parallax. He drops on Thursday, and I think he drops the YouTube and the audio. We'll give you guys some more information on that probably on our Sunday show, but check that out on Thursday. Parallax with Ryan will be on his YouTube and on his podcast, audio podcast. So should be very, very cool. Like I said, we talked for about 2 hours, things we typically don't talk about on our show. So you guys really, really like it if you like us, and I know you like us because you're listening to us right now. So that is everything we have for you guys. We will be back to talk to you on Sunday of next week. Have a great week. Peace.